Hey guys, it's Sutonia here. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is why I only carry Rage rockets in nullsec in my Kestrel. I don't actually carry Caldari Navy rockets. The main reason for that is mostly to save ISK, but it's also because I don't actually need them. I mean, the only situation where I'd really load Caldari Navy would be against a dual prop ship, where it might help out a bit, but I'm still probably going to die to dual prop regardless. So a lot of people seem to think that Rage rockets apply awfully, or that they don't apply well to frigates, and that's just not the case. Rage rockets actually apply perfectly to almost every frigate in the game, as long as they're webbed. And I want to go through and I want to show you that they do, and go through the missile damage formula a bit. MrHydes has actually made two missile damage videos on his channel. He has a playlist, like Solo Tips Weekly, I think it's called, and he published those recently, I think about a month ago, and that's kind of what inspired me to go into a bit more depth with rockets. It is a question that has come up a lot as well, that's why I'm answering. So this is the missile damage formula. You don't really have to understand it, it's very complicated if you just look at it, but basically missiles can only ever do the 100% of their damage. It can't go over, and then there's three parts of this formula. Basically the first one is the 1, and it always picks the minimum of this, and the ship's signature radius divided by your explosion velocity, and then this is what I'm going to go over here, which is your the ship's explosion times velocity. It's hard to explain, but it's very easy actually. So let's take a look at the application stats of rockets that we'll be using. So this is with max skills. Caldari Navy have a 15 explosion radius and explosion velocity of 225. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide 225 by 15, and that gives us this number here, 15, which is what I call the explosion ratio. Now you're going to multiply the explosion radius of the ship you're shooting by your explosion by the explosion ratio, and that's basically how fast they need to be to start mitigating DPS from you. So if you took a slasher, for example, which has a base sig of 30, you'd multiply 30 by 15, and that would give you 450, right? That's an easy number. So if a slasher was going faster than 450 meters per second, it would mitigate DPS from Caldari Navy rockets. And for Rage, we do the exact same thing. Rage are fatter than Caldari Navy. They have 25.5 explosion radius with max skills, and they have a explosion velocity that's a bit shorter too, of 194. And altogether, that gives us a explosion ratio of about 7.6 something. 7.5 is probably just an easier number to keep in your head if you just want to do multiplications in your head. So if we take the slasher, for example, and it's half of Caldari Navy. So whatever number you get of Caldari Navy, if you basically divide it by half, that's like the if a ship is going faster than that, it's gonna mitigate damage from you. So if we take the slasher example, by the way, the slasher is like the lowest signature radius frigate in the game. Before we got the number 450, so we can like ballpark estimate that if a slasher is going faster than 225 meters per second, it's going to mitigate DPS from us. It's very important to use Rage missiles because they do 20% more damage than Caldari Navy. And I'm not going to go through all the examples here, but here is a list of every Tech 1 frigate in the game. I did all the calculations already. So, and this is their base velocity. This is their velocity when webbed. This is the Rage. This is what I talked about. Rage MTV is basically the explosion ratio is like 7.6 number multiplied by their base sig, and then we take a look at how well Rage applies. This is assuming that they're webbed with a 55% web, like fleeting web or the enduring web. If you have a Tech 2 web, it will be slightly stronger than this. There's absolutely no reason ever to run a Tech 1 web, so whatever. So looking at the slasher, for example, I ballparked it at 225, but it's actually 242 because I did 7.5 in my head and 7.6. But you can kind of get the idea here, right? Well, with the Rage MTV, it was pretty close, right? So we got 242 here. That's how fast the slasher goes when it's webbed. Bear in mind that this is all early base figures. A lot of shield ships are going to fit things like medium shield extenders or shield rigs, which are going to increase their signature radius, which means that Rage will apply better. And some ships can fit like overdrives and other kind of modules that increase their speed, but it's not very often that you'll see a ship that fits a load of speed mods and then doesn't fit like some kind of like shield or whatever. But even if they do fit all speed mods, like they're gonna be easier to kill anyway because they have less effective combat stats. So that's something to keep in mind. So what I want to show you right here is the rage application chart, and as you can see, there's only one ship in the game that actually takes mitigation from rage rockets, assuming you have it 55% webbed, and that's the slasher. And like the slasher is still taking 94% of the damage, and you know it's gonna have shield, some kind of shield rigs normally, which means it probably is gonna take full damage. And even if it doesn't, like you're gonna apply full damage to it. A lot of people don't realize just how good rage rockets actually are. And one thing you need to keep in mind for this like damage formula is you actually don't really give a shit about like the signature rage as part of this formula, because like every frigate in the game has a bigger sig than the explosion radius of all rockets in the game, unless they're linked. But you shouldn't fight linked ships, obviously, because links break everything. I also have some figures on interceptors. Crusader, Claw, and Malediction have some damage mitigation, but I mean, it's not much, and they all take pretty much like full damage. So, especially if they have like other modules, again like rigs and shield extenders that increase the amount of damage they take, and if they do fit like a lot of speed mods, then they're less effective in combat anyway, and you're still gonna win. So anyway, I just wanted to do this quick video to show you that and explain that rage rockets are really good. Obviously, what I'm saying right here is about nullsec. We're looking at nullsec right now to give you a better understanding of why afterburners kill rocket DPS and of low sec figures. Here is like a big chart right here. I've done like a lot of the calculations for you. So I've also put in like meta ABs and meta ABs heated. You can see here that rage really goes to shit once you start looking at afterburners. Like, I mean, you're not even going to apply like 50% of your DPS to most afterburner frigates, but to MWD ones that are scrammed, you will apply pretty much everything perfectly. Here's the interceptor list that I mentioned briefly before. As you can see, like only the Claw really takes significant damage mitigation. The rest of them, there's 3 Stiletto, Crusader, Malediction, which are going to take some mitigation. But I mean, there's not a Stiletto fit that I would ever see that doesn't have a medium shield extender or like a small, and if it doesn't have a medium shield extender, you know, it's going to die even easier anyway. So you don't really have to worry about using, even against interceptors, like rage is going to apply pretty much fine. And this is why, like, people probably tell you horror stories about rage rockets and not applying. I think it's probably because of afterburners. As you can see here, like just a cold afterburner in most cases is going to drop you to around 50% damage, which means you're only doing half your DPS. And again, you can kind of multiply the MTV figure here by 2, and that's the MTV figure for Qatari Navy. I haven't actually included it here. But for example, for this ship here, which I believe is the Tristan, if you multiply by 2, it'll be like 622, and that's like the minimum speed if you're using Qatari Navy. And you could see like a 55% webbed Tristan would actually take full damage from Qatari Navy. I don't have like absolutely everything here right now, but I hope that kind of explains. This is actually the CN list. I've got it right here. So there are some ships that do actually take mitigation from CN missiles, mostly the Slasher and the Executioner and the Condor and the Atron, because they're the attack frigates. But anyway, in terms of nullsec, this is why early carry rage is pretty clear right here. It does full damage. Anyway, I hope this helped explain why early carry rage in nullsec and some like concerns some people had. I'll put a link as well to the MrHydes videos in the description and on the screen. So those are definitely worth checking out as well if you want a deeper understanding rather than like the super quick and dirty explanation that I just went through. Thanks for watching.